Vamos lá ver o que é que se passa. O circuito queimou. Raios! Devia ter estado aqui para as verificações. Teria reparado nisto. Já está. Ok. Vou redirecionar o controle do servo. Ok. E agora? Agora reequilibra-se a tensão. Acabei. Vamos lá ver se funcionou. Como novo. O doutor andava a testar novos materiais para as próteses. Pediu-me para rever o seu trabalho se tivesse tempo. Acho que vou ver agora. O doutor estava a testar um novo material de contacto para a prótese. Um compósito de hidrogel. É forte, mas tem demasiada impedância. É melhor dizer ao doutor para procurar outros materiais. Ok. Tenho de ir embora antes que dê ainda mais cabo das coisas ao doutor.
Spider-Man, é Yuri.
O Fisk já está em Riker?
Em Riker, não. O nosso rapaz merece tratamento VIP. Foi para a Raft.
Ah, fica com o Scorpion, o Electro e o resto. Devia sentir-se honrado. Está em ilustre companhia.
Podes passar pela esquadra? Tenho um problema que as tuas capacidades únicas podem resolver.
Por ti, Yuri, faço tudo. Vou a caminho. Parece que saiu um novo episódio do Jameson. O que será que uma fã número 1 tem a dizer da captura do Fisk?
Está a ouvir Só Factos com J. Jonah Jameson, onde ouvintes como você discutem os assuntos que afetam a nossa cidade com o vencedor de um prémio, 2 prémios. O vencedor de 2 prémios Pulitzer e antigo editor do Daily Bugle. Ei, divulga o livro! E, como sempre, se encomendar o livro do Sr. Jameson, Spider-Man Perigo ou Ameaça, nas 24 horas seguintes à nossa emissão, receberá um exemplar autografado sem custos extra. Sem dedicatórias! Não peçam, não faço! Bem-vindos ao Só Factos com G. Jonah Jameson, o programa que o alerta para as ameaças que nem sabe que existiam. Passemos já às chamadas. Diga.
Bom, não é por nada, mas o Spider-Man merece algum respeito por ter apanhado Wilson Fisk, certo? Afinal, um mafioso a menos é bom para todos.
Acha que sim? Diga-me, é agente da polícia? Procurador? Talvez um repórter premiado com décadas de experiência como eu?
Ah, não. Sou canalizador.
Oh, boa. Então arranje-me a sanita e calce. Vou explicar-lhe uma coisa sobre os chefes do crime. Quando um é apanhado, todo bandido com uma arma, um fato de treino e uma gaveta cheia de correntes de ouro decide que vai ser o próximo padrinho. Vamos ter uma guerra de gangues nas ruas. E o idiota do cabeça de teia quer saber disso? Claro que não!
agora que já não fumas, que desculpa é que dás para vir cá acima?
Que preciso de uma pausa sem me chatearem?
É justo. Então, ligaste-me? Queres um par para o baile da polícia?
Tens um smoking preto e branco?
Ah,
Não vai haver baile este ano. Gastámos demasiado na tecnologia de vigilância da Oscorp.
mas valeu a pena, certo?
Sim. Até há uma hora. O sistema foi abaixo. Em toda a cidade. Em todas as torres.
Como?
Achamos que alguém sabotou o servidor central e agora as torres estão desligadas.
Alguém da polícia?
Talvez. Pense nisso mais tarde. Agora precisamos de reativar as torres. E já.
E chamaste-me a mim? Oh, que fofa!
Eu chamei alguém em quem confio. E os sinais são codificados, não sabemos resolver isto.
Adoro desafios!
Se estragares, pagas.
Pensava que confiavas em mim. Vejamos o que se passa com a torre. Alteraram as bandas de entrada. Subtil.
Uma das torres voltou a funcionar. Foste tu?
Não sou só uma máscara bonita, hã?
Não sei o que fizeste, mas podias fazer o mesmo às outras torres?
Claro, mas para que saibas, tive de me sincronizar com a torre para a arranjar. Agora vejo todos os dados sobre os crimes nesta zona. Parece que há um assalto ao pé de mim.
Boa, tenho unidades na zona.
Deixa estar, eu trato disto.
Vai. Fica de vigia.
Não me parece que tenham perdido as chaves. Ok, acabei.
Obrigada. Agora estou a ver um assalto perto de ti.
Estás com sorte, Yuri? Duro, mas adorável, maduro e vivido, o teu detetive favorito está aqui.
O quê? Não, 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 não. Prometeste que não voltavas a...
Spider, polícia.
Por favor, não.
Então és tu a Shiba.
Afasta-te, parvalhão!
É ela.
Afasta-te de mim! Deixa-me em paz!
Pouco barulho, miúda.
Não toques!
Afaste-se dela!
Oh, porra. O Spider-Man. Vai-te já embora, ou ela morre.
Larga-me!
Está tudo bem, podes ir.
Sabia que o Jameson estava errado. És um pouco estranho, mas tens um bom coração.
Tens algum sítio onde ficar?
Sei cuidar de mim mesma.
Claro que sabes, mas caso precises, há um centro chamado Fist.
Conheço. Não preciso de caridade.
Tem os melhores bolos de trigo da cidade, sem dúvida.
A minha mãe fazia bolos desses. Já não como há muito tempo. Eu vou lá. Obrigada, Spider Gajo.
É Spider-Man. Devo encontrar a próxima torre dali de cima. Da sua posição elevada, o Spider-Polícia observa o seu destino. Uma segunda torre de vigilância.
Estás a narrar as tuas ações?
O quê? Não. Claro que não. A chefe nunca compreendeu o Spider-Polícia. Achava-o descontrolado.
Já estou arrependida disto.
Devo conseguir modificar as torres para monitorizar mais do que crimes.
Got an 1165 on the eastbound side of the Manhattan Bridge at the Flatbush Avenue exit. City service.
Já está. As torres agora captam todo o tipo de sinais RFID, incluindo um aqui perto. O que é isto? Oh, uau! É uma das minhas mochilas do liceu. Esqueci-me que tinha localizadores. Quantas mochilas estarão espalhadas pela cidade? O menu do meu primeiro encontro a sério com a MJ. Gostava de a ter levado a um sítio mais fino, mas ela não se importou. O menu do meu...
Ainda estás aí? Há um assalto perto de ti.
Spider-Polícia a caminho! Metade homem, metade aranha, todo polícia.
Ah.
Viva, malta!
Oh! Spider-Man! Matem-no!
Mais? Malta, se esforçassem tanto num trabalho legítimo, não precisavam de ser criminosos.
Nunca desisto, Spider é normal!
Ok, Yuri. Vou arranjar a última torre de Chinatown.
Não é o Spider Polícia que vai reparar?
Estive a pensar nisso, Yuri. A polícia é uma coisa para jovens. E o Spider Polícia... bem, já não vai para novo.
Diz-me o que eu acho que vais dizer.
A partir de hoje, o Spider Polícia reformou-se.
Graças a Deus, preciso de uma bebida.
Esta noite bebemos todos, Yuri. Beberemos em memória do incansável Spider Polícia. Yuri? Yuri, estás aí? Parece que a emoção do momento a arrebatou. Oh, meu. Não quero que tirem fotos aos meus 3 pelos do peito. As ferramentas para reparar o fato estão no laboratório. Será que o Dr. Octavius já se foi embora? Doutor, como correu com a comissão? Peço imensa desculpa pela asneira que fiz.
Ora é essa, Peter. Eles ficam nervosos perante o triunfo iminente. Hão de se acalmar, como sempre.
Quer que volte ao laboratório para o limpar?
Não, vou sair para jantar. Continuamos amanhã. Fazemos hoje uma pequena pausa para amanhã voltarmos a criar o futuro.
Gostava de engarrafar e vender o otimismo deste homem. Parece que já não volta hoje. É uma boa altura para trabalhar no fato em privado.
Atenção todas as unidades, perseguição a veículo em curso. Agentes em Tenderloin, escuto.
Ok, temos uma perseguição a alta velocidade.
Estão a pôr vidas inocentes em perigo. Não nos obriguem a usar a força. Não nos obriguem a usar a
Menino, eu vou encaixar este carro imediatamente.
Dispara-me. Acaba com ele.
Há quanto tempo? Até conduzia bem. A hora de ponta de Manhattan é terrível. parece que o doutor já não volta esta noite. Assim vai dar para trabalhar no fato. Estamos a tentar melhorar o hardware das próteses. É melhor ir ver o que o doutor tem andado a desenvolver para rever o trabalho dele. O doutor estava a tentar melhorar a granularidade do atuador. Boa! Que resposta tão fluida. Vamos lá tentar ajustar a força de aperto da prótese. Está melhor? No mínimo já não parte as mãos a dar um passo bem. Interessante. O doutor inseriu um sistema básico de mapeamento espacial. Muito fixe. Agora os braços estão cientes do que os rodeia. Isso deve ajudá-los a saber onde está o corpo. Tenho de ajustar a auto-orientação do giroscópio. Já está. Isto vai ajudar os utilizadores a manter o equilíbrio enquanto usam a prótese. O doutor está a tentar diminuir o consumo geral de energia da prótese. Ótimo! Está muito mais eficiente.
Parker,
Doutor Octavius, o que é que tem aí?
o jantar. Se soubesse que estavas cá, eu... O que estás a fazer?
É um projeto meu. O estaleiro naval do Fisk é no lado sul. Tenho de ver se passo lá. És tu? Eu não sei.
Vá lá, Parker. É óbvio.
Deixe-me explicar.
Podias ter-me dito mais cedo.
Eu queria. Mas eu achei que se isto soubesse, a minha família ficava em perigo.
Sim. Os equipamentos deles...
Olha, esta guerra de gangues entre os demónios e o Fisk está a aquecer.
Eu sei. Até o Shocker se juntou. Meteram-no a fazer recados para os demónios.
Estes tipos não brincam. Será que só querem substituir o Fisk?
Isso já é bastante mau. Espero que não seja nada pior.
Apesar de todo o teu trabalho árduo, encontras sempre tempo para ajudar.
És mesmo muito. Já é a altura de revelares a...
Agora não, Spider-Man. Tenho uma reunião.
Com licença, estou atrasado. Abram alas. Olá, Nova York! O velho Spidey tem um fato novo. Temos mesmo de aprender a organizar o local de trabalho. O nosso primeiro voluntário, o cabo adjunto Texidor. Perdeu o braço na guerra e o seu único desejo é poder voltar a abraçar a filha.
Porra! Por que é que estou sempre a cometer o mesmo erro? Não se pode confiar no Norman Osborn. Em questões importantes ou insignificantes, se o Norman puder lucrar com a perda dos outros, é o que faz. É enfurecedor. Um dia vou virar um feitiço contra um feiticeiro. Vou ensinar.
O doutor deve ter mais história com o Norman do que partilhou.
Hoje é o dia da reavaliação de subsídios. Estamos prontos. O trabalho. Se conseguíssemos repor o atuador tenso no trabalho.
Será possível fazer um lança-teias numa impressora 3D? Não acredito que nunca tentei.
Peter. Ah, Peter. Nem sei porque me dou ao trabalho de gravar isto. O Norman castrou-nos. E em breve o laboratório ficará sem fundos. Estivemos à beira de coisas incríveis. Se tivéssemos um pouco mais de tempo e dinheiro, sei que todas as ideias nas nossas cabeças iam jorrar. Espera. Ideias nas nossas cabeças. Meu Deus, Peter, é isso!
Onde é que o doutor ia usar isto? Lindo! Parece outro potencial material de contacto para a prótese. Ah, uma RPI de hidrogel. Parece promissora. Aposto que dava uma ótima interface de tecido. Onde é que o doutor ia usar isto?
Bolas, parece que chamaram os amigos. Olha, mais malta! Bem-vindos à festa! Deixem os sapatos à porta, é a regra da casa. A não ser que não tenham meias. Nesse caso, comprem umas meias.
Tem uma ótima condutividade, mas não sei como reagirá ao desgaste. Pode laminar-se facilmente. O doutor andava a testar a biocompatibilidade do grafeno.
So it's more battle heavy than I assumed this second. I didn't realise that Mount Nibelus suffered. Nope. And we couldn't steal anything. Okay.
Não é boa. Tem alta citotoxicidade. Não sei se usaria isto como interface de tecido. Ele testou a biocompatibilidade do nanotubo de carbono.
Okay. Let's sense it as well while we're here. Anything that looks big and impressive, I'd like to see what it's all about. This is the zoo of this game. I was going to say it's a zoo-like enemy. There you go. I have not got a steal in so bloody long, man. I want to steal. Zoo feels fury. Okay then. I still need to steal from you, man. I'm going to keep going until I steal. I don't care. I'm going to be stubborn here. It seems very weak. It's fast, but it's weak. So I think we'll survive. Unless it does something crazy like Great Gale. Okay, that's not that crazy. Bird wing. Woohoo! Now you can die. I'm not even going to check it because I'm like 99% sure it's an item that does wind damage. So it's big and impressive, but it's not as lucrative as I would have thought, or powerful. Right, here it is, the reactor. Don't think there's any value in running around this area. Ah, yes. I wonder how many times we've been inside reactors now since the start of the game. It feels like 4 or 5 at this stage. Always comes back to the reactor. Are we going to have to go back to one of these? Hey? What's the deal, man? Is this not where we're supposed to come for more knowledge? That's good. What's the deal? You can't tell me that I come all this way and nothing happens. That can't be right. That's weird. Literally, it says Genova's here. We're not going to talk about this? What the fuck? I'm confused. I wonder how much damage Barrett's Trine does. Is it comparable? I don't know how fixed the damage is for these attacks. Okay. So it's definitely less than Eris, but it's still a very significant amount of damage. Cool. Earth Drum. But what's not cool is me not... Ah! Okay, that makes more sense now. Still though, I mean, I feel like we should have had... Oh, is that a shortcut now? These guys and their stare downs. Well, yeah, if you're going to use stare down everyone instantly in the battle, then why are we even fighting here? Luckily, the effect doesn't last for very long at all, so it's fine. Yeah, go ahead. She's still killing him. I need to remember to change to her new limit break. And we've got an ether. So limit. We've got Planet Protector. Let's check it out. Makes all allies invincible one time. Sweet. Is there no path through to here? Surely there is. Sorry, I thought I could go through the two pipes. Visually it looks like you can, but there's no like waypoint for it. This guy, magic, fire 2. Please don't hit Aerith. Okay. Please don't hit Aerith. Excellent. I love it when they obey. And Aerith will now finish things off. Aerith has turned into a badass, man. She's got them level 2. She's got the high magic. She's got Trine. She can cause some damage. Right, so this is where I think I ended up getting everything. Wait, no, there's a treasure chest I didn't get. That's what I was missing. So let me double check here. Make sure I don't screw this up. Yeah, there is one that I can go down which will get me the treasure chest over there. So I think at this stage I'll start running. You guys have seen these enemies a lot and I'm kind of tired of them now. So we'll keep moving at this stage. Because I want to get this treasure. Normally I would have exited this room, but because that treasure's there I've got to get it first. Now, it's hard to say which one is going to end up with which, but I think it might be number 5. I'll try it. Then again, 5 twists round to here, so I don't think it's 5. I don't think it's 4 either though. Is it 2 maybe? It might be 2. I'll give it a go. Okay, it landed me here, this is good. I got a power soul. That sounds cool. I'm glad I got another chance to return here and get these things. Ah, okay, so we got the Platinum Fist and the Power Soul powered up when near death. Sweet. Okay, we can do that. I say we have a save here. What a great session. In terms of gameplay, I've been really happy with this
grafeno.
session.
Mas a estrutura é muito particular. O que é isto?
The game is slowly starting to expand out now. You're getting to that kind of very extended middle stage of the game where you're going to be doing more gameplay than story. It happens a lot. So 2 landed me there. It's hard to see where this pipe originates because it curves. It looks like it curves off to the left, and then I can't see anything more from it. I guess it'll have to be some trial and error. I'll have to try them all and see how it goes. There it is. Okay, so it was number 4. And I got an all material for it. So that's not too bad. Okay, so I think I've thrown a final save. I'll overlap my most recent save. And then I'm not sure, because I entered this room already, I might take the other... There were 2 alternatives here, so I'll take the other one that I didn't take last time. I'm not sure if taking one kind of puts you on this massive loop to just bring you back to this room, or whether that was supposed to happen, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, okay, this isn't the one that I took last time. Let's see what happens. Oh. Is this right? Again, I went to the reactor and it, like, that didn't get me anywhere, so I'm really not sure. Okay, so let me head back in here for a sec. It's weird, like I felt like there was supposed to be a scene at the reactor, we didn't get one. Strange. Okay, so I just double checked this, and it's definitely saying that I'm pretty much done here. I've travelled everywhere I need to travel in this area, and there was not supposed
Ele
to be
testou a biocompatibilidade do nanotubo de carbono.
I'm free to continue down that other side towards the next part of the story. So, okay. Fair enough. So, I guess I can take these guys out again, just get Aerith to do it. Aerith, sort it out, girl. Lovely. I'll keep my HP up here. No need to do anything crazy. Okay. Let's keep moving. Right. Now, apparently one thing I read was that you can steal a gold armlet from the green dragon that I encountered, but I could swear it said nothing to steal when I tried to steal from it. But anyway, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I've been doing absolutely fine so far. I'm sure a gold armlet would be really nice, but...
É sério candidato à interface direta de tecido, mas devemos conseguir fazer melhor.
Armlet than the one you already have, then that's a good way to go. So now I think I've run...
Grafeno. Mas a estrutura é muito particular. O que é isto?
Well, there's a town in this direction. And I think that's the next town I need to go to. So a few more encounters once I arrive in this town. I'll wrap things up. How strong is this attack? 323. Woohoo. I'm going to try you mofos. If that's how you want to play it. I mean, there are 6 of you and you're trying to do 300 damage each. So if you're up against an enemy that can do a swift 2,000 damage on your party, then you deserve to get trined, my friends. I'm sorry. Fair is fair. See, I can't even hit. Because you bloody gave me darkness or whatever. Just in case this trine isn't enough for whatever reason. Lovely. She's really crushing it. See it, hold on. Again, it always turns the way I don't want it to turn. Right, I'm not sure what that place is or if it's the right place, but...
Uau, fantástico! Forma uma nanorrede. Uau, que forte. Tem potencial para ser ótimo elemento estrutural para próteses.
Yeah, I think that's the right place. Okay. So this should hopefully be the last encounter of this session. Ooh.
Hoje é o dia da reavaliação de subsídios.
Let's see if we can manipulate one of these. Stole Remedy. That's not a bad steal at all. Magic.
Meu, lembro-me do dia da minha entrevista. Apareci com nódoas na camisa e 10 minutos atrasado porque tive de parar um assalto. Ainda não acredito que o doutor me contratou. Espero que não se tenha arrependido.
Sweet. Slow is 20 MP though. That's a lot. Wow. Yes, I can manipulate Belchior Task A. For poison blow. Okay. Yeah, they're not too bad, but they're not like anything that scary. So I think maybe once you manipulate once, you can't manipulate again. I'm not sure. Okay, a healthy 56,000 gil, methinks. So I am going to wrap this session up here. It's been a pretty good one in terms of gameplay. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys for more soon, and we'll be heading into Rocket Town to continue the story. What's up everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to this commentary playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, and we are in Rocket Town. Hopefully this will be a more story heavy session than the last one. What's that? It's a giant ass rocket, son. It's seen better days. A rusty old rocket. Wonder why they made something so huge. Why don't we ask this person? Better ask the captain about this town. He's the one in charge of it. Captain? Who's the captain? The captain was a pilot when Shinra was still interested in their space program. He was going to be the world's first astronaut, but there was an accident. Ever since then, he's been wasting his life away here, dreaming about going into outer space. Did you see a man in a black cape? A man in a black cape? Nope, never seen him. Okay, so we've got to answer both questions in one there. Let's start here. So, while editing my previous session, I had a funny moment with the Green Dragon where apparently, during my first steal, I managed to get a gold armor, I think, with the first steal that I attempted. So usually that's quite a difficult thing to do. And because I was still very early in the battle and it was the first time I faced it, I wasn't like focused on what the battle menu was saying at the top. I was trying to like choose my turns and stuff before I got wiped out potentially. So I didn't even know what was going on. Turns out I stole a gold armlet without even knowing it. So yeah, I managed to do that. And then obviously, because I'd already stolen what it had to give me, the next time I tried to steal, it said nothing to steal, and I assumed that there was literally nothing to steal. So yeah, that was a good time. But turns out I do have a gold armlet which I can equip now. And maybe that's already something that's going to be sold in this weapon shop. The gun is a man's weapon. Nothing else will do. Alright, we've got a shotgun. Here I have a note just in my missables, just for you guys who are interested in it. It's not particularly important, but just in case you might want to know. The nearby weapons shop also sells a shotgun for Vincent. They eventually stopped selling this after disc 1, so get it while you can, is what it says. So, it seems like it's useful, but by the time I'm ready to actually use Vincent, maybe I'll already have something better, so I don't know. I'm always surprised by how cheap gold armlets and stuff are.
整任務だったかしら。
うん。遠征つっても日帰りできる距離だけどね。
気をつけて行ってくるのよ。いってらっしゃい。
行ってくるってばさ。
よし、集まったな。これより第7班は調査任務に入る。場所は火の国北西部大森林の一角だ。
なぜそんなところに？
報告書によると森林の一部に異常が見られたらしい。
異常？
報告書には土砂災害と書いてあったが、俺たちの任務は現場の確認と原因を調査することだ。さすがに戦闘の危険性はないだろうが、気を抜かずに行くぞ。
はい。
なんだよこれ。
ここが現場ですか？
ああ、だがこれは想像以上だな。
このハマル先生、これから僕らは。
この近くに集落がある。俺とサラダはそっちに向かって情報収集をする。ボルトとミツキはこの周辺を探索して原因につながるものがないか調べてくれ。
了解。
みつき、そっちはどうだ？収穫なしか。
いろいろと手を尽くしてみたんだけどね。
じゃあ俺らで分かったのはこれが人為的なものだってことくらいか。
だね。明らかに森の一部分だけが破壊されている。自然災害じゃこうはならないよね。
一体誰が。
お待たせ。
お、どうだったよ。
うん、いろいろ聞けたよ。
異変が起こったのは3日前の深夜。突然森の奥から衝撃音が響き渡り、その振動が集落にまで届いたって話だ。
で、次の日に現場に来てみるとご覧のありさまだったってわけ。
つまり住人の人たちも何が原因なのかははっきりわからなかったってことだね。
それなんだけど、実はちょっと気になる情報があってさ。住民の何人かが森の合間から光る巨人を見たって言ってたんだよね。
光る巨人？それ聞くとなんとなくサスケさんのやつを思い浮かべちゃうよな。
うん、スサノオだよね。でも意味もなくパパがこんなことするとは思えないし。
確かにな。
巨人のことはともかく、僕たちの調査でもこの破壊状況は人為的なものだとの結論に至っています。
なるほど。
じゃああとは誰が何の目的でやったのかってところですね。
ひとまず里に戻って報告だ。これ以上の調査は俺たちよりも専門家に任せた方がいいだろう。
なんだってんだ。
人為的な破壊か。
より詳細な調査が必要かと。
ああ、専門の調査隊を向かわせる。この件は徹底的に調べておいた方が良さそうだ。
父ちゃん、光る巨人ってなんか見当つかねえのか？例えばサスケさんのやつとか。
サスケがあの辺で戦ったって話は。
そんな報告は聞いてねえな。
ってことだ。つまり今の段階では何とも言えねえ。
そっか。
まあ これから詳しく調べて、何か動きがあったらお前たちにも教えるってばよ。とにかくご苦労だったな。今日はゆっくり休んでくれ。
はい。
何事だってばよ。
ははあそこを調べたわけですか。ま、ただのテストに使っただけだし、調べたところで無駄ですよ。
Calculus is hard because it is different. It introduces completely new concepts, such as the limit, the derivative, and the integral. These are novel concepts that appear completely unintuitive and hard to grasp. When students don't understand the concepts, their applications are next to impossible. So, to understand calculus, we first must reinforce the concepts that are fundamental to its foundation. I believe the key to understanding calculus lies in teaching these concepts. The algebra and complicated math that trip students up can be learned in time, but a student who never grasps the fundamental ideas of calculus can never succeed. So, let's take a step back from everything we know about math and try to learn calculus in a whole new way.
So infinity is really cool because it allows us to talk about things that are either really big or really small. Infinity has this reputation of being known as the biggest number. Have you guys heard of that before? Yes. It's not. Yes, you're correct. If I asked you guys to count the numbers between 1 and 2, 1.1 is slightly bigger than 1, right? And it definitely is between 1 and 2. We all agree? So right now, we have one number between 1 and 2. 1.11 is also between 1 and 2, right? It's a little bit bigger than 1.1, right? So now we have two numbers that are definitely between 1 and 2. 1.111. This is also between 1 and 2. So if we keep adding ones, that's what this dot, 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 dot means over there. That means we can just keep adding 1 on to the end of this number forever. And every single time we add 1 on, the number gets a little bit bigger, right? So it's a unique number. It's a different number that's between 1 and 2 every single time we do this. And if we keep counting these numbers, as in how many numbers are between 1 and 2, we'll never end. That is infinity. Infinity is a concept. And this is crucial to understanding not just infinity, but also for calculus. So now with that, let's talk about 1 over infinity. If I have 1 over 2, we have this one pizza, we cut it in half, and this red right here is the amount of my one slice. We all agree? So now let's go to 1 over 3. We have this one pizza and we divide it into 3 equal slices. This red slice is the amount of one slice. And now if we divide it into 4, what do we notice? Gets even smaller, right? So when we have 1 over 5, it's a little bit smaller, okay? 1 over 6, 1 over 15. Let's look at 1 over 80. What would happen if we go to 1 over infinity? The question is it equal to 0? So remember that infinity is not a number. So 1 over infinity doesn't represent anything. Remember, we had to have a number on the bottom of this thing, right? We have to divide it into a certain number of slices. And if we divide it by infinity, to me, that means nothing. But what does that mean about our pizza slice? Well, we said it's not equal to 0. But what we can say is that 1 over infinity goes to 0. When we increase that number on the bottom, our slice gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And if we keep doing that forever, and we keep adding 1 to that bottom number, our slice is getting closer and closer and closer to being nothing, but it's never equal to nothing. What this is called, and this is important, this is infinitely small.
1 over infinity is an infinitely small number, just like infinity is an infinitely large number. Let's move on to something that I know you're familiar with, area. I want to talk to you guys about an interesting way to take area. So let's say we're trying to calculate the area of a triangle. A way that we might be able to do it is by taking something whose area that we do know and filling our triangle with it. So let's say we have our quarters stacked up like this. We want to say, what is the area of a triangle that has this shape? Well, let's count the quarters and say, how many quarters fit into this triangle? So one way we can do this, we can count it just by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do that. But the way I want to talk about doing it is to count all the columns. If we count all the quarters, we add 1 plus 2 plus 3, we get 21 quarters are shown right here. And we can say that our quarters roughly fill this shape, okay? And that there's about 21 quarters in this triangle. But if we fill this triangle, the first thing I wanted to show you guys is that there's a little space in here, right? Where the quarters don't quite touch. And if we fill the triangle in, we see that there's like overhang on the quarters. So how can we make this a more accurate measurement? Well, let's use nickels now. Now we have a lot more columns, right? And what we can do is we can add up these columns again and say, okay, well, there's 36 nickels here. And now if I asked you, how big is this triangle, what would you say?
About 36 nickels.
And again, we did this by counting up all the columns. And now if we look at the inside of the triangle, the space in between the quarters are a little bit less. There's not as big of a gap between the quarters, or between the coins, making it slightly more accurate. And if we draw it, we say that there's a little less overhang, right?
Yes.
So let's go even smaller. Let's use a dime. And if we count up all of the columns the same way that we did before, then there's a lot more columns, so it's a little bit harder. We get 136 dimes. If we put this triangle over, we notice two things. One, the space is really small now compared to the quarters. It's still definitely there, but it's definitely smaller space. And if we fill this triangle up, it almost looks perfect.
Yes.
We know that there's a little bit of space inside that we have to deal with, but as far as the overhang is concerned, it's pretty much gone. Okay? It's still there, right? But there's a lot less. So now let's compare the 3 triangles we just talked about. The dimes is definitely the most accurate out of these 3. We all agree?
Yes.
So, we look at the columns that we used. The width of these columns is only as small as the width of this quarter, or the coin. And so, if we say this nickel has half the width of this quarter, and that this dime has a quarter, 1/4 of the width of this coin, we're taking our column and we're making it smaller and smaller and smaller. If we keep going on forever and ever and ever and making our coin smaller and smaller and smaller, making the width of this column smaller and smaller by using smaller coins, the accuracy is going to keep getting better and better. And if we make it infinity, our accuracy should be 100% eventually. So what would that look like? Well, let's take a look. This is a decent picture of what that might look like. Now, obviously, 1 over infinity is so small that we can't really represent it, right? We can't make an infinitely small column on a computer or even draw it, because we can always make it smaller, right? We can always add on to that infinity. But it might look something like this. And if we zoom in to this corner over here, we have these columns that go up, right? And imagine that these are the width of our infinitely small coins. If we add up all these columns, we would get the area of our triangle, and it would be 100% accurate. This is one of the big concepts that I want to drive home, is that 1 over infinity can be used to calculate area, to find the area. And this is huge, because this is one of the principles of calculus. This is the second most, arguably first most important idea of calculus, is that if we use infinitely small columns, we can find the area of anything. Okay? I want to talk about another concept that's really important to calculus, and that has to do with slope. Let's start by defining what slope is. So when I think about slope, what I think of is the incline of a ramp that you're riding from left to right. So for example, if we have this guy over here, he's on a skateboard, he's going up this incline, he's going left to right, we say that this is a positive slope because he's going up. Now this guy, same skateboarder, maybe he got to the top of a hill and he goes, oh, I gotta go down now. Now he's going down this from left to right. So our slope is negative, it's downhill. We understand the difference between those two?
Yeah.
Okay, so with this, let's move on to talking about apples. Let's say I have 10 apples and I eat 5 of them in 1 minute because I'm like a speed apple eater. And now I have 2 data points. I have 2 numbers, 2 groups of numbers. We can put this on a graph. This line tells us that if we go to any point on this graph, we can read how many apples we have at this minute. So we have this line, and what does this look like? Looks like a slope, right? And we can put our skateboarder on it. So this guy is going downhill, so is it positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. But what is the value of this slope? How can we calculate it? And more importantly, what makes this slope right here, so this line, different from this slope or this slope? What exactly is the numerical difference? What's the difference in the actual slope between these two, between these 3? What we can do is say that the slope is equal to the number of apples that I ate over the time that I ate them. If we have this line, we start at 10, go to 5. How many apples did we eat?
5.
5. And how long did it take?
1 minute.
1 minute. So our slope is going to be negative 5. But what if we had a line that looks a little more complicated? This isn't a straight line. We have a line that looks something like this. It's not straight. It's not easy to calculate that slope. And the reason is because the slope changes. Let's look at a skateboarder here. He's probably going to go really fast. Like, that's a pretty drastic drop, right? It's a really negative slope. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And let's say that point, that slope is right here, okay? Pretty negative. And if we put the same skateboarder over here, he's like riding a flat ground. He's not really going anywhere, right? He's coasting. So that slope is maybe somewhere over here. But what's important is that this same graph, this same line, has many different slopes. Because this is different than this, which is different than this, and every single point is slightly different slope. So we want to be able to say, well, what is the slope at any given time, right? How fast is our skateboarder going if we follow this line at any given number? So if we look at this graph, and we sort of have it, okay? We take it and we cut it in half. So if you look on the bottom here, it goes from 1 to 10, and it looks like a pretty curvy line. Now, let's say that that's 1 over 1, and let's take a half of that. So now we go from 0 to 5. Look at the numbers on the bottom. We go from 0 to 5 in our time, okay? So if we go again, now we go from 1 to 2.5. Now it looks like an even more straight line. And if we go again, 1 to 1.25, that almost looks like an exactly straight line. It's slightly different. It's slightly not straight. It has a slight curve to it, but it's definitely a lot better. And remember, all we did is we went from 10 to 5 to 2.5 to 1.25. We kept having that number, okay? And it looked more and more straight. So the question is, what are we doing here? What I would say is that we started at 1 over 1. Let's say we start at 1 over 1, and we have it. We get to 1 over 2. So now we're at half of our initial graph, centered about 1, because 1's always there, right? And we half that. Now we're at 1 over 4. You following me? We keep having the length of our graph centered about 1. And we're getting this number on the right is getting closer and closer and closer to 1, right? So what would happen if we go a distance of 1 over infinity? It would be a straight line. Remember, infinity is not a number. Infinity is a concept. And 1 over infinity is infinitely small. So we go from 1 to 1 plus 1 over infinity. And what we see is we recover a straight line. Doesn't that blow your mind? Yeah. Remember, we started out at this. Yeah. And we said you can't measure that slope because it's different everywhere. It's different. Every single point on this graph has a different slope. But if we have it, more and more, and we focus in on one. We focus in right here. We're focusing on this time. And we look at only that instant of time, it looks like a line. We said before that every single point has a slope. And we also said that in order to measure that slope, we need a straight line. So if we look at an instant in time that is essentially just one point, we better get a line, because we need a line to measure the slope there. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So this makes complete sense. If we look at a time from 1 to something just after 1, infinitely close to 1, it better look like a line, because we want to be able to measure that slope, because we know it exists. And that's important, is that we know this slope has to exist, so there must be a line there. And the question is, how we have to just be able to look only at that point in time to find that line. And this is very important, because we can measure the slope of this line. Based on this picture, we know that it exists, and we know that it's calculable. We know that we can find it if we have the right tools. I want you to leave with this idea that 1 over infinity can be used to find the slope of a curved line. And this is also crucial. This is, remember how I said the area was like this central, one of the two central ideas of calculus? This is the other one. This is the second half of the complete picture of calculus, is that we can use calculus to not just find the area of a shape, but to find the slope of a function, of a line, of a graph, that otherwise we wouldn't be able to find the slope of. All right, so let's just recap what we learned today. We learned, most importantly, that infinity is not a number. Infinity is a concept. And we also learned that 1 over infinity is not equal to 0. It leads to 0. It goes to 0. If we look at 1 over infinity, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, becomes infinitely small, and goes to 0. And 1 over infinity allows us to find the area of shapes using really small, infinitely small columns, which is crazy. If I give you a weird object, like maybe I give you something that looks like this, how do you find the area of that thing? That's pretty hard, right? We don't have a formula for that. We want to be able to use the columns. We also showed that 1 over infinity allows us to turn a curvy line like this, into a straight line at a specific point, at a specific time, which is amazing, because it allows us to find the slope at any given time of a line that we normally wouldn't be able to. Students just beginning to study calculus always find the concepts of limits, derivatives, and integrals hard to understand. But when these concepts are broken down and explained in new, unique ways, such as by using coins to visualize integrals, they become infinitely easier to understand. In fact, the rather unconventional methods for teaching calculus used in this video allowed the same students who usually hate things like word problems to follow these daunting concepts.
You were actually really good at explaining everything. You gave a lot of details, and I think that was really good. It made sense. I could understand it. Made it easy to understand what you were trying to say.
So next time you hit a roadblock and want to give up because you just can't grasp a concept right away, take a step back and try to tackle the concept in a new way, just like we did with using pizza to explain infinity and skateboarders to explain slope. Then, once you dive into the awesome fields of mathematics, you will, just like the fifth graders in this video,
This summer I want to learn about molecule structure.
have a thirst for knowledge, and one day, just like those students, go on to change the world.
In this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate the area and the circumference of a circle. But first, let's talk about the radius and the diameter of a circle. My drawing's not perfect, but we're going to make the best of that. So here is the center of the circle. It's a point right at the middle of the circle. Now the distance between the center of the circle and any point on the circle, that is known as the radius of the circle. The diameter is twice the value of the radius. So let's say this is the center of the circle. The diameter starts from one end of the circle, it passes through the center, and connects to the other end of the circle. So as you can see visually, it's twice as long as the radius of the circle. So we could say that D is equal to 2R. Now the next thing you need to be familiar with is the area and the circumference of a circle. The area is basically the area of the shaded region. To calculate the area of a circle, you could use this formula. It's pi times r squared. Now the circumference is basically the distance around the edge of the circle. So this is the circumference. And to calculate the circumference, it's equal to 2 pi times r. Now pi is equal to 3.141592654, and there are more other numbers, that go on after that. But typically when solving these problems in school, you'll be using an approximate value of pi, which is usually 3.14. So now let's work on some problems. Let's start with this one. Number 1. Calculate the area and circumference of the circle shown below. Use pi equal 3.14. So let's start with the area. The area is equal to pi r squared. The radius, we can clearly see that the radius of this circle is 5 feet. It's the distance between the center and a point on the circle. So we have pi times 5 feet squared. 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25. And feet times feet gives you square feet. So the units of area is always square units. Square inches, square feet, square yards, and so forth. Now, the exact answer for the area of the circle is 25 pi square feet. But we're going to get an approximation using this value. So let's replace pi with 3.14. So the answer for this problem, the area is approximately 78.5 square feet. So that's how you can calculate the area of a circle if you're given the radius of that circle. Now let's move on to the second part of the problem. Let's calculate the circumference of the circle. So we're going to use the formula C is equal to 2 pi r. Let's get the exact value first. So let's replace the radius with 5 feet. 2 pi times 5 is 10 pi. So the exact answer is 10 pi feet. So notice that the unit for circumference is in feet, which is the same as the unit for radius, but the unit for area is in square feet. Now let's replace pi with 3.14. So this will give us an approximate answer. 10 times 3.14 is going to be 31.4. So the circumference of this particular circle is 31.4 feet. So if you were to start here, let's say on a track, and you would, let's say you were to walk around in this circle, you would travel a distance of 31.4 feet. So that's what that means, given that the radius of the circle is 5 feet. Now let's work on a similar problem. At this time, we're given the diameter of the circle. The diameter is 14 inches. How can we use the diameter to calculate the area and the circumference of the circle? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to find the radius. Remember, the diameter is twice the length of the radius. So if we divide both sides of this equation by 2, we'll get that the radius is half of the diameter. Half of 14, or 14 divided by 2, is 7. So the radius of this circle is 7 inches. So now that we know the radius of the circle, we can calculate the area and the circumference. So let's start with the area. We know the area is pi r squared. So let's replace r with 7 inches. 7 squared, or 7 times 7, is 49. So we get that the area is 49 pi square inches. So this right here is the exact answer. But now let's replace pi with 3.14. 49 times 3.14, that's 153.86. But what we're going to do is we're going to round our answer to 154 square inches. So that's the area of the circle in this problem. Now let's calculate the circumference. The circumference is 2 pi r. Let's replace r with 7 inches. So we have 2 pi times 7. So we get an exact answer of 14 pi inches. Now let's get our approximate answer by replacing pi with 3.14. 14 times 3.14, that's 43.96. But since we use 3.14 for pi, I'd like to round my answer to 3 significant figures. So I'm going to round it to 44.0 inches. So that's the approximate value for the circumference of the circle. Number 2. The area of a circle is 28.5 square inches. What is the radius of the circle? So we're going to use 3.14 for pi. We're going to round our answer to the nearest hundredth place. So let's start with this formula. Area is equal to pi r squared. So we're going to replace the area with 28.5 square inches. And we're going to replace pi with 3.14. And we're going to solve for r. In order to do that, we need to divide both sides by 3.14. So we get 28.5 divided by 3.14, and that works out to be 9.076433 with some other numbers, but this should be good enough. So that is equal to r squared. To get r, we need to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of 9.076433, we could round that answer. So let's use our approximate symbol. So we're going to round it to 3.01. So that's to the nearest hundredth. So this is the radius of the circle. That's how we could find it if we're given the area of the circle. And by the way, let's not forget the unit for radius. The unit for area is square inches. So the unit for the radius of this circle is going to be just inches. The radius, diameter, circumference, they have units like inches, feet, yards, things like that. Area is always square units. So just keep that in mind. But these two, they must match. Number 3, the circumference of a circle is 14.5 feet. What is the diameter of the circle? So the formula that we need to use is circumference is equal to 2 pi r. Now what we need to do here is we need to use the circumference to calculate the radius of the circle. Once we have the radius of the circle, we can then find the diameter of the circle because we know that the diameter is twice the value of the radius of the circle. So let's calculate r first. Let's replace c with 14.5 feet. And let's replace pi with 3.14. 2 times 3.14, that's 6.28. So to get r by itself, we need to divide both sides by 6.28. $14.5 divided by 6.28, we get 2.3089. And we're going to round it to the nearest to the nearest hundredth. So that's going to be 2.31. Now let's put the units. So the unit for circumference is in feet. That's going to be the same
calculus is hard because